We've just got, I'm very delighted to say, James Arbuthnot, Lord Arbuthnot, Conservative peer and campaigner as an MP for justice for victims of the post office scandal, on the line. James Arbuthnot, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, I'm sorry about the vision, but I don't know what's going on.
Do you know what? We saw enough of you in character, shall we say, in the ITV drama, so people will picture you. I have to say, and I'm sure I speak for my audience as well, all credit to you, sir. All credit to you that you were one of the people. I know other MPs as well, Kevin Jones with Labour and others, and David Davis and other people speaking up. But you were the man who started this off in Parliament, speaking out for these people, speaking with Alan Bates and others. All credit to you for doing the stuff that, you know, a lot of people don't realise MPs do, speaking up for the little man and trying to get justice. So all credit to you on that.
Well, that's very kind of you. But actually, the problem is that the MPs didn't achieve anything at all. It was Alan Bates who really got things into the achievement phase by taking it to court in his group litigation. So he is a phenomenal man.
He does seem to be an incredible guy, and so sort of quietly spoken, just Mr. Ordinary, but actually extraordinary behind the scenes. Question we're putting to our audience today is with Rishi Sunak expected to make an announcement, late night talks last night, PMQs at 12, it's either before then or at 12. What do people want to hear? What do they want to hear Rishi Sunak say in terms of exoneration and compensation and other action? What do you know this case inside out, this scandal inside out. What do you want to hear him say?
Well, what we need to know is that things will be turbocharged, frankly, because it has been, well, I first got involved in 2009. We've now had more than 60 sub-postmasters who have died, not fully compensated, and some of them with convictions hanging over them. And so that needs to be put behind us. We need to get the compensation going quickly. We need to get the convictions overturned quickly. And we can also then turn to the holding people to account in the way that it needs to be done.
I mean, a lot of those things one would think are, you know, rather obvious things, so easy to do, and yet it's taken so many years for this to happen. Why do you think it has taken so long? Why has it taken an ITV drama to actually, you know, get people focused on this and get Parliament and get the government to act?
One of the problems was the government's stance of having the post office as an arm's length organisation. I don't think that that's a model that works, because I think the government has got to take responsibility of ownership. But another problem was, I think that Fujitsu was telling the post office it could not remotely access the accounts of sub-postmasters, when actually it could, and it had to, in order to correct the bugs in the system that Fujitsu knew about, and the post office began by knowing about, but then seemed somehow to forget about.
Yes, it's quite bizarre. I mean, and so much has come out of this in terms of what people knew when. Big question marks about, you know, bosses at the post office. Paula Vennell, she's had to hand back her CBE. There are now demands for her to actually also hand back some of her bonuses and pension, because, you know, what do you get a bonus for when you're overseeing this? Other very senior figures at post office also. But also at Fujitsu, I mean, the man who apparently, the architect of the Horizon IT system, Gareth Jenkins, he has demanded immunity to agree to appear at the public inquiry, because he actually gave evidence in court against some of those who were convicted. Do you support any of those measures going ahead?
Well, I don't think Gareth Jenkins was the architect. I think he was one of those who was brought in to explain it. And he was aware, I think, of the bugs in the system, but failed to tell the court of those bugs when he was giving evidence. And as I understand it, he failed to disclose those bugs to the defendants, which must mean that their convictions were completely unsafe.
But it also means that he lied in court, because you take an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. He didn't tell the whole truth. That's perverting the course of justice.
I think that was why Mr. Justice Fraser referred his case and that of another Fujitsu employee to the Metropolitan Police after the end of the court case, but it's now something like 3 years since that happened, and we haven't heard of any action coming out of it. Possibly because of the intervention of the public inquiry. I don't know. Should he have immunity? Well, the problem with his giving evidence to the public inquiry is that he might incriminate himself. And if he is to give truthful evidence and avoid incriminating himself, he would have to do it by way of immunity. But it really sticks in the gullet to think that someone who actually permitted these sub-postmasters to go to prison in the way that happened should be immune from any punishment for doing so.
I mean, do you think it's enough for there to be, you know, exonerations, for there to be, and again, we're told we might need an act of parliament for that, and some people are querying this is MPs overriding the courts, but if that's the, you know, if the courts and the Criminal Case Review Board can't do this quick enough and are plodding through one case every few months, well, you know, that's not good enough, and we need to speed this up. As you say, people are dying while they're still facing those, having that conviction and their name dragged through the mud and their lives and livelihoods ruined. But do you think it's enough for, you know, CBs to be handed back, exonerations, even compensation? And I still don't even think £600,000 is enough for what a lot of these people have gone through and their financial losses. Is that enough, or do we need to see people prosecuted? Do we need to see senior people at Fujitsu, at the post office, I don't know, people talking about the CPS, well, that there has been a huge scale of where people have been telling lies and have been, I think, conspiring to pervert the course of justice by telling lies. Do we need to have criminal cases and convictions and those people going to jail?
Yes, I think we do. Whether they are sent to jail has to be a matter for the judicial process and a decision for the jury as to guilt and the judge as to sentencing. But I do think we need some criminal cases here, because I am sure that there have been crimes committed, and I think it is for the prosecuting authorities to make to deal with that. By the way, you said that 600,000 wasn't enough. You're quite right. In many cases, it will be far too little. People who have been to prison, people who have suffered in the way that Lee Castleton and his family have, people who've, I mean, Seema Misra being sent to prison on her son's birthday while she was pregnant. That would be, she needs far more than 600,000.
I mean, people get more compensation than that for someone offending them and going to an employment tribunal, for goodness sake. I mean, this, they need, and also, I mean, just the you know, the lost income, you know, the loss of reputation. I like to think that our reputations are worth more than 600K.
Well, yes, but 600,000 is not a limit. It's not what the government is saying. Here you are. That's all you're allowed. They're saying if you want to avoid the process of painstakingly setting out why you should have more, then here's 600,000 to avoid that ghastliness. Some people will deserve more and will get more, and so they should.
Do you trust that the government, Rishi Sunak in particular, is now totally on the case, gets it, and is going to take action that is going to be enough? Do you think that we actually are going to see justice in every area on this?
Yes, I do, but it's too slow.
Yeah.
I think that justice in this country does get done, but far too slow.
Yeah. And too expensively.
Sorry?
And too expensively often too expensive for ordinary people to get.
Often very, very expensively. But the virtue of speed now is that maybe we'll be able to cut out some of the huge expenses that are being charged by lawyers at the moment.
Absolutely. Just finally, briefly, if you would, Lord Arbuthnot, you've been involved in this, trying to deal with this scandal for years. I don't think this is the last we'll hear of this sort of scandal, whether it's a contaminated blood scandal, Lucy Letby, other NHS trust scandals across the board in many public areas of public life. Do you think that we do have a fundamental problem where, you know, big organisations, big corporations are able to carry on doing things like this, cover-ups, worrying about the reputation of the organisation more than doing the right thing, protecting innocent people? Do you think we have a sort of systemic problem in this country?
Well, I think we've got a number of systemic problems. And I think actually with the speed of development of technology, those systemic problems are going to get worse rather than better. So yes, we've got to work out a better way and a quicker way of dealing with people whom the state wrongs. And there are far too many of them.
Lord Arbuthnot, pleasure to speak to you, sir. Congratulations on your part, you say a smaller part, in terms of getting justice for these many, many hundreds of people who've been wronged.
Thank you
He's a
very
key
much.
campaigner for justice for sub-postmasters.